Enough. As good enough.
Hey guys, it's Mark Lips here. Welcome to Good Enough, and we're glad you've showed up. We really appreciate that very much, right, Sam?
That's right, Mark.
That's right, Mark.
I'm just entertaining myself here, Mark. So
yeah, no, I don't even want to. You know what? I don't even want to hear about that. I don't want to hear about that. Because there were days that you were entertaining yourself, and so hey, so I hopefully viewers.
How was your week, Mark? How was your week?
It was good, you know. I tell you, it's been slow here at the farm as far as events and stuff, but we had a graduation group that just pulled out of here. They're part of the North Coast Opportunities Group, and that is a program, and I guess they have a school, but you graduate from it, and it involves community action stuff. It involves helping with food insecurity, helping with job insecurity, housing, all kinds of stuff. So it's a very much a give back sort of thing. And I mean, I'd never heard of this company, North Coast Opportunity. And I don't know if it's just in Northern California, but I went on their website. They got a $22 million grant the other day.
Holy moly.
It's a big deal. I'm having the guys speak at our Rotary Club in July. So I'll know more about it. But no, it's good. I mean, I was planning on having this relaxing, you know, the nice thing about caterers, you're not really doing much on Memorial Weekend because everybody grills out. They grill and chill themselves, right?
Yeah.
So it's a pretty slow weekend for caterers. Well, I'm volunteering for a pancake breakfast on Saturday morning. And then we have a paella dinner. We're doing it at a winery. The right choice is it'd be just me and Tammy on Sunday night. I guess a little free time, but we got a Harvest Host coming in. We got an Airbnb coming in. They want stuff all day Saturday, you know, breakfast, lunch, dinner, all of that, which is great. I mean, it's revenue. We need it. So, but how was your week?
Raced all weekend, 2 different tracks. Did pretty good. We got some wins under our belt, but kind of went to our sort of semi-home track and didn't do very good on Sunday. We missed the setup somehow, and I don't know. But you know, we brought home more trophies than most kids will win all year. So I tell Augustine, we gotta respect the trophy because sometimes you just throw them in the car and you take off. You don't think anything about them, but that's a thing for me is like, you win a trophy.
Yeah.
Hard for it. And all these other kids are working hard for it and trying really hard and they didn't get it. So let's not disrespect the trophy. Let's honor the trophy. All the other kids that tried to get it.
Yeah. You earned it. You deserve a little bit of praise.
Yeah.
Your trophy deserves
respect.
And it's respecting you. That's for sure. The racer.
So speaking of racing, I was thinking of us, of the appointment that you and I had many years ago to meet at the corner of Georgetown and 16th Street, and you never showed up on Memorial Day weekend, Saturday before the Indy 500. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah,
you do.
No, I remember. And once again, these kinds of old stories don't need to be spread around. So
it's the best kind. It's the kind I like to spread about you, not me.
I called up my mom, and because I thought, you know, it was when you and I were in high school, it was 18. You could drink at 18.
Yeah.
And
except for not every state.
No, exactly. But I thought Indiana next to Illinois, probably 18 too.
Close enough. It's close enough.
Yeah, close enough. And so I went out with a couple of beers strapped to my belt. I was 18. And
which is what you do when you're 18, strap beers to your belt.
And these guys, Indiana State Troopers, man, they don't play around. They slammed me to the ground. I saw a guy try to protest, and they slammed him to the ground. And
oh, by the way, I don't know what they feed those Indiana cops, but it's
yeah, and they took us in, and
we didn't.
They herded us all. There were a ton of us. They herded us all into the infield, or somewhere there. I think it was the infield, and before the race, right? And so then loaded us into the paddy wagon, took us to jail, gave us our orange jumpsuit. I mean, it was the full thing. And
I remember that.
Gotten some new tennis shoes. And my biggest concern was some knucklehead in that jail is going to want my shoes. And so I'm
and take them.
And you got your one phone call, right? You get your one phone call. Yeah. So I called my parents, and they were having a party at their house. And they said, "Hey, Mark, yeah, how's it going? You enjoying yourself?" Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, Uncle Bob's fine. Listen, I need some help. I'm in jail. Okay, quick fooling around. We got to get back to the party. I said, "No, really, I'm in jail." And so, oh, geez, And so they got a hold of Uncle Bob. And Uncle Bob, I don't know if did you ever know Jim Ader?
Not very well, but I know.
Uncle Bob sent his buddy Jim Ader out to get me. Okay. Yeah. Well, Jim was known for, remember this is 70s. So,
yeah.
And drinking and driving was, standard operating procedure for a lot of those guys. Anyway, he was drunk when he got to pick me up at the police station. We get in the car. So he bails me out. We get in the car. We're driving. He hits the car in front of me. And he just leans out the window and goes, "Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. Keep going. Keep going." And this guy didn't even want to deal with Jim, and I'm going, "Oh, man.
I'm safer in jail with convict."
Yeah, exactly. So long story short, though, my dad, because my Uncle Bob knew somebody in Indianapolis. And
yeah, I remember that.
And I got a letter from this guy, and he said, "As far as the state police are concerned, you were never in Indianapolis that weekend."
Well, that's what Mike and Rex and all those guys are saying. We're standing on the corner like, "Mark's not in Indianapolis." I said, "He said he would be here. We're tired of waiting." "I know he's going to be right here," and didn't show. And then later on, I told him, I said, Mark got arrested. Like, he didn't get arrested. You're full of, he's never, No, really, he got arrested.
Yeah. That was the same Indy 500 where we all rode in my Uncle Bob's motorhome into the main street, and that VW, and people were climbing on top of the motorhome. It was those were crazy days back then,
People say that it's crazy, they kind of go, "Well, the Snake Pit's crazy now. They got a band down there." And I was like, "No, you don't. That's different."
Yeah, this was, and the VW in front of us, the whole crowd came out, picked it up, turned it around, faced it toward us. It was one of the little VW bugs.
Yeah.
And and the first person through overnight, the people out there overnight had built a huge wall of beer cans. And the first car through had to crash through the wall of beer cans. So
yeah, because they shoot that gun off at 5 a.m. to open the gates up. They let that bomb off, and it wakes everybody up around the track, and then the cars honking and going in, and
So Memorial Weekend, my dad was in the service, Korea. He was in the Navy band. He didn't want to be drafted, so he signed it because he was going to school for music at Millikan and in Decatur, Illinois. And he's one of those guys.
He went to Millikan.
Wanted to be a big band leader. He's part of.
I remember that, but I didn't know it was Millikan.
Like all the wind instruments. One time he picked up. I had no idea, because when he quit music. Later on, he quit music and went to school in Gainesville, Florida for real estate business or something like that. And because he'd grown up, my grandfather's, A&P grocery store, he knew how to butcher. And so he put himself through school working at this. They were looking for a butcher at this place, and he knew how to do it. And he put himself through school working at this place.
Those old pictures of your grandfather's shop or something else.
Yeah. But and so rather than, he wanted to have a choice. And so he signed up for the Navy band and got in, I guess, obviously. And the recruiter said, all married guys go to Germany. My dad was married. And all single guys go to Japan. So, oh, okay. So he signed up. They sent him to Japan. So, even to this day, I wish I could ask my dad, so Dad, you were away from Mom for 2 years. And then I want to go look at my mom. Mom, you were away from Dad for 2 years.
You really don't want to have that discussion with either one.
Yeah, you're right.
My dad was in Korea as well. But
yeah, your dad was in the stuff.
He was in a MASH unit. Right. He didn't talk a lot about, but some, he was one of the first, was it Eisenhower that integrated the troops? And so he was one white guy in his platoon, one of the first person to be integrated in the Army.
Wow.
He was in like you see on MASH, he was in one of those units right up on the front line. And he, one time they were shelling this is what I remember. I said, well, what was it like? He goes, well, I'll just tell you, they were shelling us one time and we ran out of the tents and laid in these ditches. And he says, I just laying in this ditch thinking to myself, why would anybody want to kill me?
Right.
It's like, he's just an 18-year-old kid basically laying in a ditch. Why do these guys want to kill me?
Yeah. It's like Patton said, right? It's your job that guy wants to kill
right.
you. It's your job to kill him.
In first. Right.
Yeah. So
I think my dad, I think that informed my dad too, about race that the rest of his family didn't really share, and I'm saying that as kind as I can. And I think that had an effect on his kids, myself, and I think we looked at things different than, because here he was, spent his Army career with a platoon of black folks,
Right.
And so he didn't grow up with any. There was none in Bluford, not one, the color in Bluford. So I think that his attitude about that was different than his rest of his family. And that was, I think, because of that.
Yeah. I don't know where, and it must have, maybe my grandfather, my grandmother on my dad's side, but my mom and dad, same. If they ever, because listeners, we grew up in Southern Illinois, which is below the Mason-Dixon line, and blacks lived on one side of the tracks, whites lived on the other side, and it was we all had friends in school and all that, but it was definitely a line down the middle of the town, and my mom and dad, if they ever heard you use the N-word or something like that, they just would come down on you hard. And they got us. My first job, I was a college baby. My dad's first job was in Louisiana right after, and this was late 50s, late 50s, I guess. I was 56, so I was like 4 years old. So probably 1960. And my mom couldn't stand it there. She wanted out because she said it was just so racist and so backwards. And
although I will say, I think I heard this just the other day that Southern racism is better than Northern racism because Southern racism,
but it's out in the open.
It's out in the open.
Yeah, it's not like all of a sudden the real estate sign comes down. It's
right.
Out, yeah. So
Mark, it's 4 o'clock.
Yeah. What did your dad? Okay, hold on one second.
Right.
What did your dad do in Korea at the MASH unit?
He basically drove a Jeep. He was a vehicle driver, basically. He drove trucks and things like that.
Would he go pick up wounded, you mean?
He'd go pick up wounded.
He would go to the front?
He would be close to the front, not maybe necessarily. One time they had to, I think the closest he had to go out onto an area that was mined. So the soldiers that mined the area had to tell him how to get out there to pick this body up and bring it back.
Wow.
So he talks about that a lot, like that was something he wasn't sure he really wanted to be doing.
Yeah, no,
The map of the mines,
yeah, that's like being, all it takes is one bad day.
One bad day.
Yeah. So, but my dad, I wish I could talk to him now I didn't ask him enough about Japan. He would speak Japanese when we were kids and things like that. And we have pictures of him in Japan.
My dad was in Japan one time on furlough, but I don't think he
that's where they went.
I don't think he was speaking Japanese.
Yeah. All right. So what do you got? We got a guest that you're going to bring on. This is your guest.
Yeah. Well, we got to log out of this.
Yeah, but this guest, who is this guy?
He's a friend of mine.
Well, that's not going to be my friend.
I know. At least I am. When he gets on here, may claim otherwise. I've known him for about 12 years. I've ran into him various ways. He's around town. He's known as the master networker.
Okay, so what are our viewers going to be excited about with this guy?
Well, I think the interesting thing about Mark, I mean, lots of interesting things, but he just completed the 75 hard challenge. And that's a very interesting thing. I don't want to talk a lot about it.
Yeah, no, that's not beans.
He lost like 60 pounds on it, but it's more than
mackerel.
More than just the diet. Well, and that's why I find it interesting.
He's got
He's just got to come on here.
Got a great first name. So
yeah, he's just going to come on here and talk about not eating. That's not.
Yeah, I can talk about that. Shoot.
Yeah, so there's no telling where we'll go with Mark D.
All right, let's bring him on. All right, well, let's break for a commercial. One of our sponsors, near and dear to me, is the Ripe Choice Farm Stay and Catering, and that is a full-service catering farm with an event space barn, commercial kitchen, row crops, an orchard, a vineyard, all of that up here in Northern California.
And 2 pet pigs.
And I have 2 pigs, Rosie and Bud, 8 chickens, and a couple of labs, and a rescued cicada tortoise who rarely seems to come outside at all. But
he's right there in the house with you?
No, it's in the shed, but it just stays in the shed. It just stays there. So, I want him to come out and walk around and enjoy the area. So I've got to create this habitat in the corral area. I'm going to create this animal habitat like you would see at a zoo. So I got to figure out what that all is going to entail. Also being brought to you by, still on my end here, Happy Friday Neighbors newsletter, which comes out at 4 a.m. every Friday, has for the last 25 years. And if you would like to be on it, listener, just text me at 310-849-9181. 310-849-9181. And I need your email, and I'll send it to you. And you can also send me things to post. If you're a locally owned business, I love to promote local businesses. And if you took a fantastic picture on vacation, send that to me. I love to take credit for those pictures. No, I will put your name on those pictures. But Sam, what do you got?
Also brought to you on this end of the country, here in Bloomington, Illinois, Bloomington Pride Staff, full service staffing agency. We do direct hire. We do entry-level manufacturing, warehouse, office clerical, headhunting. So we do a little bit of everything here. And between Bloomington and Peoria, you can find us and apply for a job at pridestaff/bloomington.com. And you can see my smiling face on there and see the list of jobs we currently have open, or even if we don't have a job open right now that suits you, that could change tomorrow with a phone call. So that's Pride Staff Bloomington. Also, I'm a member of a racing team, Punk Racing. My grandson races quarter midget cars, so if, we're always looking for money to go faster. And that's the old adage: if how fast you want to go, tell how much money you want to spend.
Yeah. Winner,
We'll take all your donations.
Yeah. Winner,
All right.
dinner.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce to you my friend, Mark Dekeersgieter. He's the best we could find this week. You know, we called around.
Yeah, it's a holiday weekend. You know, it's
A
tough.
holiday weekend. People are making a long weekend. And so we're grateful that he could.
Yeah. So, hey, listen, it's good enough,
Mark,
right?
Mark Lips said, yeah, it's good enough. Mark Lips said, could you find us somebody mildly interesting? I said, maybe.
Mildly.
Mildly.
Mildly entertaining. Good enough.
Hey,
I
Mark, is that Dutch? Are you Dutch? Is that the last name Dutch or?
Yeah, that means the candle maker. That's right.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, you're in a candle making lab, I see behind you. Isn't that where they make the candles?
It may be a meth lab. I'm not entirely for sure. Not that I would have any experience knowing what they look like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this
Quickly, he goes to a disclaimer. You know, that's
it starts off disclaimer.
But not that I would know.
yeah.
So,
I've had my teeth replaced twice.
So when did your family come over from Dutchland?
I have no idea.
Really?
I'm sure we have a family record of it because my brother's mother-in-law was really into genealogy, and she traced it all the way back and all kinds of stuff. And I've got a big binder of everything she found, but I haven't taken the time
with
to go.
With a last name like that, you've got to do just some basic research. You know, I mean, who knows with that name, Candlemaker. First of all, there's got to be a story there, right? Probably the same candle that Paul Revere used on his ride. That could be, and so
it could be.
Well, let me tell you.
Just go ahead and say that anyway. Just go ahead and that's the story. We're going to tell
We'll
the story.
never know. We'll never know the difference.
We're supplied the candle that Paul Revere put in the window, or whatever that was, a lamp, candle. We'll make it, and it was one if by candle, two if by sea, or something like that.
Yeah,
I'm going with it, Mark.
Yeah,
I'm gonna run with it.
I didn't realize how confusing this meeting could be with two Marks, but Mark D knows my affinity for having meetings with Mark, and that's a different story. But let me introduce Mark D. He is the Executive Director of CIRBN. CIRBN is the local high-speed internet company here. Their motto is "CIRBN never sleeps." Mark is known, as a master networker around town. He's even given talks on networking. He's even schooled me a couple times. Maybe we'll get into that later, but he's embarrassed.
We do need to get into that.
A lack of ability to network. Kind of a network mentor of mine. We're in Chamber of Commerce together. We were on the Mark First board of directors, a company that works with special needs people. We are also on the WIOA board of directors, Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act. The most interesting thing about Mark D recently is that he just completed, and this is what I'm interested in, but he just completed the 75 Hard Challenge. So
75 Hard, is that a Viagra spot, or what is that?
Is that a what?
What is the 75 Hard Challenge?
It is a mental toughness challenge that lasts for 75 days. And if you have 5 critical tasks you have to do each day. And if you miss one of the tasks or don't quite fulfill it, you got to start over from day one again.
Wow. And is this a national thing? I'm not familiar with it.
Yeah, this is.
I thought this was something your wife made up for you.
No.
Hard. He's 3/4 of the way there.
No, this is something that was created by Andy Frisella. And I didn't know who he was. I just knew some of my friends were doing this challenge from Facebook and social media. And somebody towards the end of last year that had been posting about it said that, they finished it and they were going to do it again because they liked the results they got, and they were going to start in January. And anybody that was interested, just let them know. They're going to create a private Facebook group.
Okay, so it was all on social media. It wasn't through a gym. I did a 30-day challenge with a yoga studio one time, and then another challenge with a gym. But so this was all online, social media, 75 hard.
Anybody, if you just search 75 hard, you'll find articles about it.
Good.
Like I said, it was invented by Andy Frisella, and I didn't read the book. I didn't listen to any of his podcasts. The very first time I listened to one of his podcasts was like I was doing a test run or two the day before, like the week before we were actually going to start, just to be like, okay, what's my day going to look like? Mm-hmm. And I thought, well, I'll listen to his podcast, and it's just something that he put out there. He's got all the everything you need to do it is you can do it on with whatever you have now. You don't have to buy any equipment. You don't have to pay anybody a fee. It's all free.
That's great. That's great. So what is the goal? To lose 75 pounds or
no.
Take $75 or
when most people see the list, they think, oh, this is a fitness challenge. But he is very, he says it multiple times. It's not a fitness challenge. It's a mental toughness challenge. And when I've talked about it with Sam, I think the thing that's very interesting about it is a lot of the things that are reinforced throughout the challenge, if you actually do listen to some of his podcasts about it and some of those things and read the book or whatever, it applies to all of life. It's not a fitness thing. It applies to all of life. If you want to be successful at anything, if you take the tools that you basically the discipline you create for yourself during the 75 hard, you can achieve anything.
So what would be a typical day for you? Is it, thinking you have to think 4 positive thoughts,
no,
exercise for 30 minutes and go help a lady cross the street, or what?
There's 5 critical tasks, and I'll just run through them real quick. So the first one is you got to choose a diet, and you got to commit to it with the goal in mind that you're going to improve your health and your physique. And so he doesn't say what kind of diet you should do. He says you should do the diet that's right for you. So if you want to lose weight, you might need to talk to somebody that's, a nutritionist.
So he doesn't give you a specific diet. He doesn't give you options. He just says, find a diet that's right for you.
Yeah. He'll say some people do macros, some people do clean, it's like the whole goal is to, eat the things that your body is going to need to perform well. So whatever that is, you just need to commit to that diet. Are you looking to gain muscle mass? Are you looking to lose weight? Are you looking to do both? Find whatever diet you need for yourself to do that and commit to it. So, so there's no cheat meals or no alcohol. A lot of times people will say, oh, I'm going to have a cheat meal on Sunday or,
right. I know a guy. Yeah.
75 days straight, no cheat meals, no alcohol. So that's task number 1. Task number 2 is drink a gallon of water every day. And there's multiple reasons for that. Most articles will say that people don't drink enough water as it is. Sammy, drink up.
This is vodka, so I'm not on the 75 hard.
And you're working out during this program, so you need to stay hydrated, So you can't count coffee, you can't count tea. It has to be pure water with nothing.
Now, listeners, I need to interject. Listeners, I need to interject here because I want you to know this about Mark D. Look what he's got in his hand right there.
That's a barrel.
Coffee.
He's got a barrel. He's lifting a barrel of water.
No, that's coffee. He is a coffeeholic. He has a coffee maker in his car.
They had a car that did that in the 50s. I posted it on my newsletter.
I saw that, but that was a small thing compared to what Mark D has in his car.
So Mark, keep going.
Bunamatics, the big Bunamatics.
Yeah, drink a gallon of water. Task number 3 is you have to work out 2 times during the day for 45 minutes each session.
Twice.
45 minutes.
Okay.
And if you don't go the full 45 minutes each time, you failed for the day.
Does he break it? Do you break it up into weights, or can you do 45-minute jog or 45-minute on a bike? Or
Well, first of all, one of the workouts has to be outside.
oh,
And part of that is the mental, is it hot? Is it snowing and sleeting? I mean, part of it is the mental toughness of being in conditions that are uncomfortable when you work out too. And you have to have a break in between the two workouts, preferably 3 to 4 hours. So you can't just say,
right.
well, I'm gonna work out. I got a busy day. I'm gonna work out for an hour and a half and I'll knock both workouts, out at once.
Right.
This part of this is back to it's not just a fitness challenge, it's a mental toughness challenge.
Mm-hmm.
You got to plan your day when you're going to work out twice a day for 45 minutes. You have to think about your time management. You got to plan the night before.
How'd you do that? You do it at the beginning of the day and end of the day?
Some days I do a workout in the morning, and my workout times are before work. Sometimes over lunch, I'll hit the gym, and then after work. So usually, depending on my day, I'll do a before work and after work, or I'll do a before work and over lunch, or a lunch and after work. Right. So it just depends. There was a few days where, based on everything that happened in that day, one of them was after work, and another one was like 10 or 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah. So, I'm not going back to square one.
That's exactly right. That's exactly.
If my heart's racing at midnight and I cannot even shut my eyes, I am not going back to square one.
Yeah. Right. And even, back to your thing about, do you have to do weights? Do you have to do cardio? It's kind of like the diet thing. You can do whatever workout is right for you, just have a plan. And so, a lot of people will say, can you walk? Yeah, you can walk, but his thing is walk with a purpose. Don't just take get your heart rate up, get moving, make it be the workout that it's supposed to be. It's not like you're just going to take a lazy stroll and walk a few and then turn around and look for a bird or something.
Exactly.
So task number 3, 2 workouts each day. Task number 4 is read 10 pages of nonfiction, something about personal development, entrepreneurship, a hobby you've always wanted to learn.
Man. Sam's got that down. Sam's got that. Not me. I'm Robert Ludlum, but Sam. He'll be quoting from that book.
Yeah, Sam.
You might have to explain who Robert Ludlum is, Mark.
To you.
I don't even know who that is.
Oh. Well, maybe.
He was a good writer. I enjoyed reading him.
I loved all his stuff. After a while, you forgot if you'd read that book before.
That's right. Well, that's one advantage. As you get older, you lose your memory, and so these books are brand new.
Yeah, I used to read when I was a lot younger, though. Now I just pick up any old beach read, but I love my escapism reads. But anyway, we digress. That's great. That's great that he incorporates that, because it's what I used to tell kids all the time was create automobile university for yourself. Mm-hmm. Automobile university is, put tapes, or at one time tapes, or now, podcasts, anything that you could be learning while you're in the car.
Yeah.
That is time that you could be soaking in some information, especially if you're in the city where you're commuting or something like that. Automobile university, Zig Ziglar, or Tom Ziglar is the one who told me that. But anyway.
So
great.
The thing about the reading is, whatever book you pick, you can't stop. You have to read the whole thing, even if you get 10 pages in and say this is terrible. Once you pick the book you're going to read, you got to read. You got to commit to it.
Smart.
I don't think that's smart. That's the one part of this I don't like.
No, because how many
alcohol
times
and that's the two things.
Judgment 10 minutes.
The alcohol, that, and the 2 exercises.
You should evaluate if it's the right book for you before you start reading as part of that.
Sometimes you don't know. You can read
the last chapter, Sam. Read the last chapter.
Yeah, no. I know.
The other thing
on my side, I have some great literary heroes who say, if you don't like it, drop it, like a bad habit.
No. I get it, but how many babies have you thrown out with the bathwater because you said 10 pages in, I'm not into it? and then you find
I've
20
stayed with
pages
more.
in, all of a sudden it grabs you for
Yeah.
something. It catches your
Yeah,
attention.
but I've stayed with more losers than I have winners. So
You stayed with more losers than you have with
let's
winners.
move on, Mark D.
Boy, you are good enough.
One other thing about the reading is you actually have to read a book, like a physical book. You
Okay, so now we're talking. Now I can go back to my Jack Reacher or
you cannot read it on an e-reader, and you cannot listen to an audiobook. And there's reasoning behind this. Part of the deal with the book is you need to see on a daily basis, day after day, week after week, you're accomplishing something. It reinforces momentum for yourself. And the whole thing about listening to audiobooks or whatever is the difference between actively reading and passively listening.
Well, you're kind of multitasking when you're listening to audio.
Yeah.
You know, this is being completely focused on the page, on the word.
Yeah.
So
So what did Mark?
I'm going to take this moment. We got to have this guy as a guest too. But a buddy of mine just wrote this book. He has
Hold it up a little higher.
three sons, and he just sent this to me. He just finished this book, I mean, he wrote it. Court Cassidy, Not Your Father's America. He's a little left of center, I think. But anyway, Court. He's produced a lot of your Kennedy Center specials and stuff like that. But
I look forward to talking with him, see his book, and getting an autographed copy.
Yeah.
D, what books did you read?
I read Never Split the Difference, which was a Sammy Lewis recommendation. Great book about negotiating in life and business and relationships and everything else. I read the Hard Things About Hard Things, and then I also read the 75 Hard book by Andy Frisella. So,
did you like the Hard Things About Hard Things?
It was a good book, but I liked Never Split the Difference a lot better.
Yeah.
What about 75 Hard Things?
75 Hard Things. You know what? Reading the book, I almost wish I would have read the book first, not necessarily before the program, but I wish I would have read that book when I first started the program. And the reason why is there's a section in there that kind of breaks down, like, after millions of people have done this now, here's kind of like the stages that people go through as they experience, like from day one to day whatever. And then that's one stage that
so it walked you through the journey of the 75 days.
Yeah, and it kind of talks about how like there was one that stands out to me the most is like God mode. And that's like when you're getting towards the end and you've accomplished so much and you just feel like you can do anything, and it talks about how it's such a high, but at the same time, that's where a lot of people fail because they just forget to do something because they start, back to how this relates so much to life and business and everything else. When people get successful, they stop paying attention to the details. And, it's the day-to-day details people do day in, day out, that make them truly successful. Big success comes from many small actions or activities, tasks that you do each day.
The big smalls, they call it.
Yeah.
The big smalls.
So the last item, the task number 5 is take a progress picture every day. And that is just, because so many people in our society, all of us, want the quick hit, the quick fix. We're so accustomed to just having whatever we want delivered to us the same day or the next day. People don't wait for results. And it's, you're only going to see small little results, if any, from day to day. But when you look at, a picture from a week ago, 2 weeks ago, a month ago.
Mark, what's this a picture of?
Him.
It's just a progress picture of yourself.
Like outside the window every day, or is it? Oh, it's a picture of yourself. Oh, I see.
Yeah. It's like, they just want to see, see you change. They want to have the before and the after. So day 1 to day
I thought
7.
you were just taking pictures of stuff.
No, this
Okay.
this picture is for yourself, so you don't have to share it with anybody. But his piece of advice is that, you should, guys may want their shirt off, and females, may want to wear a sports bra or something like that. But people genuinely are usually pretty happy with the weight they've lost and the transformation that they've had, and they want to share that. And I shared a picture. It was like basically from here up, when I was out on walks from day 1 to day 75. And I mean, you could just see it in my face, the weight I've lost,
Right. Well, you know what I think?
How much did you lose, Mark?
Well, I'd have to go back and look for the program. I can look that up if you want. But since last October, I've lost 35 pounds now.
35.
Oh, okay.
So that's like walking around with a Culligan, one of those 5-gallon jugs of Culligan water that sits on top of the water cooler.
Isn't that crazy?
That's like I was carrying that around.
Oh, that's a game changer. That's a game changer.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of it's probably all that caffeine you're drinking. But
it's you know what? I worked out beforehand. A big part of it for me was I'd had a lot of stress over the last 2 years of my life. And had a lot of stress eating, got out of the discipline of my daily workouts, So not only was I not eating well, I wasn't working out and everything else. And so, I do much like, many people that are competitive. I'm very competitive. I do well when I've got something a goal to shoot for, whether it's work, personally, whatever. And so if I'm doing a race, I'll get geared up for that 5K or whatever it is. And then afterwards, it's like, if I don't find what's the next thing, it's easy to get back to old habits, and part of this, if you go beyond 75 hard, there's a actual live hard 1-year program that 75 hard fits in. And part of that is allowing you to pick breaks at certain times, and then also forcing you mandatory breaks so that it disrupts your momentum. So you have the toughness to stay with whatever program you're going to do during those breaks until the program starts back up.
Wow. Well, you know what I think? I think the reason a lot of these programs are successful, what it's taught people and what successful people know, that you have to give yourself a goal. You have to give yourself an end date. And you take those small goals and steps to that end date. And that just gives everybody their marching orders, basically.
Yeah.
And when you have that horizon out there and the plan to get there, and you're going to do it in 30 days or 75 days, I mean, it really sets you up. You're setting yourself up to succeed by setting a time limit on it. So
I think that what I think.
Each day you've got all your little goals, from the 2 workouts to the, and once you get, it's like working out. Once you get into that rhythm, did you find that once you got into that rhythm, that if you didn't do it, I mean, there was no question you were doing it because it was a part of your daily rhythm, right? I mean,
well, that, and after you amass a certain amount of days, for me personally, it's like, I didn't want to start over on day one, because that's the deal is if you fail any one of those tasks, you got to start over. And it's like, the reason why I started this is because, I wasn't happy with where I was at from a health and discipline. Sam and I had a conversation not that long ago about, discipline and when you break momentum and you lose some of your discipline, the challenge is to get it back, and it's kind of one of those things, everybody has challenges in life. And when you run into those, it will knock you out. It's like, I'm trying to think, who was it? Tyson or Foreman or one of those guys. Tyson. It's not how hard you get. It's do you get back up? It's like, so when do you get back up and get back to the routine, is a big key component of that.
When do you bite the ear off of? So
when does the time to bite the ear?
Or get a face tattoo.
That could be the title of his book, When It's Time to Bite the Ear. My self-help book from,
I think there's a poet in that guy's soul. I really do. You know, I posted something yesterday that he said that, you know, he got all kinds of criticism about having to start all over again. And he says, and you hear that from people who never started.
Yeah.
It's sort of, what is it? Theodore Roosevelt's Man in the Arena speech, which I have on my wall right there.
Mhm.
But, you know, I think the thing about 75 Hard that I find really interesting is very stoic. I read a lot of, you know, Seneca and Marcus Aurelius, and, you know, I'm a big fan of Ryan Holiday. And
I don't know how you get any work done.
well, I'm not afraid to listen to Audible working out.
And you're going to listen to, I would have to do that to sleep. Okay,
So
I'm a little Socrates. I need to get some good sleep.
Seneca is not dry at all.
Listen to Socrates.
Funny, Seneca's.
Dry.
It's like talking to some, you know, that's what I love best about Seneca. It's like talking to somebody, you know, it's not, you know, he's talking about things we all do and are familiar with and challenges. But anyway, going back to this stoic thing, you know, it's not necessarily a goal. The goal is important. I get that, but that's not what the Stoics are necessarily talking about. It's like you fast, not necessarily to lose weight. You fast to know that you can fast. The discipline of doing it, to know that it's hard, know that it doesn't feel good, to know that you can force your body with practice to doing difficult things like that.
It's like golf. You're competing against yourself.
Well, golf to me is difficult and about as bad as fasting, and it is self-harm for the way I do it.
Yeah.
And Mark has seen me do. Well, I guess maybe
We've seen each other golf. I'm a self-proclaimed hack. I'm usually the comedic relief in the foursome.
I am.
Oh, he golfs pretty good. I'm terrible. Nobody's hurt at the end of the day. Then it's been a good day for me.
The moment someone says, I'm just a hack, that's when my red flags go up. If I'm going,
grab your wallet.
Okay. Yeah. So, well, I'm a hack compared to that one handicap over there. Oh, okay. So, but
So
you'd
Mark,
be a little disappointed because I don't even know what a handicap is.
Yeah. Well,
for me, it's my swing.
Yeah, it's me picking up a bag of clubs. That's
exactly what it is for me. I have no idea what a score should be.
Yeah.
I like W.C. Fields. He was golfing with Ben Hogan or somebody, and Ben Hogan hits a beautiful shot. And W.C. Fields says, "That's nothing." I'd like to see him do that with my swing.
Yeah.
That's great.
Let's see him do that with my swing.
At W.C. Fields,
and I had Mark D and I had plans right before COVID. I don't know where this was going to go, but we actually shot at least one episode of guys in cars doing comedy, getting coffee or something,
or cheeseburgers
or something. And we probably would have been sued by Jerry Seinfeld if we'd have continued it. But
yeah,
we did do one episode. I did a second episode with a lady that owns a workout studio here in town. But I shot like an hour and a half of it. Like, gosh, somebody's got to edit this because there was a lot of dull, but there's some spots in it. But that was
yeah.
So that was our one, and I think Mark, you were laid up. You had an injury at the time.
Mm-hmm.
He was doing some trail riding on a bike. I'll let him tell you about it, but
I was doing some trail riding on a bike and took a jump, was about 20 feet up in the air when I hit a tree.
Oh, and I bet you
that's the story I tell. But the sad reality of it is we were in a section of the trail where there was jumps and all kinds of stuff like that, and we were going over them and trying them over and over again. And so I just rode up the trail to turn around and come back and do another jump again. And when I rode up to turn around, just went around a tree and got caught on a root and just toppled me right into the tree, and I totally exploded and blew up my shoulder. Didn't tear my rotator cuff, but my rotator, because I almost took a recording of the doctor saying this for my wife, but when the doctor said I'm so strong, I didn't tear my rotator cuff. The rotator cuff muscle tore a chunk of bone off from the shoulder itself. So yeah, so I had to have some. They had to go in and drill some holes through different pieces and use some sort of titanium strand alloy to stitch it all back, the bone all back together. Sam came and saw me at the. It's not a hospital, it's an outpatient center.
Don't feel sorry for him, Mark Lips. He tells me he's in the hospital having this major surgery, so I go to where I think he's at, and I walk into this lobby. It's kind of a small lobby. It's got flowers and stuff, and they said I must have said the wrong thing. They said no, that's on it. So I walk around the building to the front of the lobby. Now there's it's more familiar with a lot of patients and kids running and loud, and I walk up and I said something, I'm going to see this guy, this Mark D guy, and there's some confusion. And then this young man comes up and he goes, "Sir, you're going to have to follow me." Okay, so we go all the way through the back of the building to this lobby that I was in the first time, to a private section of the hospital. I'm like, what the hell's going on? So so a nurse told me, he's our only patient right now. I said, what do you mean? So I walk into this special hospital. I'm like, what is
Let's clarify.
Into his room.
It's a building. It's not a hospital. It's an outpatient center.
I walk into this room, Mark, and it's like walking into somebody's living room. He's got this plush recliner. There's like 3 nurses waiting on him. He's sitting there and they're all scrambling around. Anything else you need, Mr. D? Anything? Can we help you? I was like, oh my God, what is?
They gave him a birthing suite. Yeah, that's exactly.
It looked like a hotel room. It did not look like.
It was revolting. It was.
Have you guys ever did anybody? If you have kids, Mark?
Yeah, we have a daughter. She's just finished up her sophomore year in college.
One kid.
We're asking where
amateur.
One kid.
Amateur. So
ask him, but ask him where she's going.
Ivy League.
Yeah, she goes to Yale.
So
one kid. I mean, they're the smartest. I mean, they've been talking to adults all their lives. They're very smart children.
That's right.
Families. So I gotta take bologna sandwiches to his house every Wednesday so he can survive.
So I can eat.
So he'll be hitting you up, Mark Lips, for some, hard salami or
Maybe you could Amazon me a few cans of Spam or something.
Yeah, there we go.
Potted meat.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you finished the 75 hard. So what do you do now? What do you do next? Are you keeping up with
is there a follow-up called the 75 semi-soft?
The actual, if you want to continue on, it's called the Live Hard.
Right.
And Live Hard is a 1-year program, and it's anchored by you doing the 75 hard to begin with. And yes. And so there's 3 phases to it. And each phase, depending on which one, like phase 1 is a 30-day. So you can roll right from 75 hard. When you finish that, the very next day you can start phase 1, or you can take a break.
Right.
And they add three critical tasks to the task list. So those are things to push you outside of your comfort zone. And then there's after that, you have to have a 30, after you do phase 1, you have to do at least a 30-day break. And then you can start phase 2. Phase 2 is just like 75 hard. It's got the 5 critical tasks. And then after that, you have another break, and then you do phase 3. And phase 3 adds a couple more critical tasks back to the list again, different ones. And the goal is that when you're due phase 3, that's when you're doing phase 1 and phase 2, if you don't do everything on the list, you got to start over at phase 1 or phase 2, wherever you're at. Phase 3 is important. Phase 3 is important because if you have to start it 30 days before your 75 hard anniversary. So when you complete it, you're ending the last day of the year from your 75 hard anniversary. So if you screw up phase 3, you got to start the whole Live Hard program back over at 75 hard.
And there's no charge for this program.
No.
Okay.
All free.
Sam and I are good enough. Our very successful podcast, millions of viewers and listeners.
And it's a podcast with viewers.
Yeah. But we're starting the good enough week, good enough 7 days, and it's got 5 challenges.
It's got legs. This thing's got legs. It's 75.
And then if you make it through the week.
What are the 5 challenges, Mark Lips?
5 challenges, I think. Well, first of all, Taco Tuesday. It's important. Taco Tuesday. Arm curls.
12 ounce.
12-ounce arm curls. And this is
Were we going to include whiskeys of the world? Or
whiskeys of the world. That's towards the end of the 7 days. But it starts on a Tuesday. Monday is kind of a slower slide into Tuesday. But then Tuesday really begins to ratchet up with the tacos, and then we start moving toward the whiskeys of the world. But if you make it through the week, also you can replace any day with any one of the others. If you want whiskey on Wednesday
before breakfast,
you can do that. We're allowing you to be flexible and move your days around. And then when you get to the end of your week, we have you just take a full day. You have to choose a 3-day weekend to end your week. And that Monday, you're totally off. There's nothing going on. It's just that you get that whole day off. And then Tuesday,
nice.
You got to go.
You can meditate if you want.
And this would be 3 challenges. Yeah. So,
we descend in challenges. It starts with 5. Then the next week it's 4, 3.
Yeah. I think that's a good idea. That's a good idea. So we should do that. And I think, before and after picture, sometimes people just want to use the before picture as their after picture, but that's.
In this case, they will, because they're going to be a wreck when they're done.
Wow.
Okay, we're down to 1 minute. So.
All right.
My turn,
Mark,
guest.
One quick question. Where is the good enough merch? I mean, is there a coffee mug
we're working on that. We're working on that.
You got to take the good enough 7-day challenge in order to be qualified for any merch.
We're going to run out of time. Mark D, love you, brother. Thanks for joining us. This has been
Mark. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Mark Lips. Sooner or later, I got to learn how a California guy gets teamed up with a hillbilly from Southern Illinois.
Yeah,
no, that's a different story, but
yeah.
All right.
Good night.
You guys have a great day.
Hey,
bye-bye.
I would say this episode has been good enough. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.